Praise be.
But I mean, like I said, Trig, welcome to our studio. Wow, it's good to be back. Yeah, Trig, did you see sorry. Did you see a photo of Miss G?
This morning when you showed it.
Oh, you saw the photo.
Yeah,
Trig, we need your comments on that. On that photo.
Trig, don't. I know you're a gentleman.
We need to be proud of what we have.
I like Cyril's laughter.
That's a nice escape.
On that note, you have a few words to share with us.
No, it is what it is.
It is what it is. Well, anyway, let's just slide out of that conversation. And
Hey, you've been sliding into a lot of things.
Seems like a slimy morning for you.
It's a slimy morning.
Yeah.
What's going on?
A lot of things.
What's going on?
A lot of things. But anyway, let's put the conversation on the table this morning, and we want to talk about something very important, which is who retires an artist. In the first place, does an artist even retire? We want to have this conversation. This morning, we are honored to have the man Trigmatic, who's joined us here. Also, Princey Bright from Book Back will be also joining us via Zoom. As they just finished playing the Ghana Music Awards UK, I watched his performance as well. I can say he never disappoints as usual. And when it comes to his fashion sense, he's always glooming and always looking bright. But anyway, so this morning, our guest will give us the artist's perspective to this conversation, and then tomorrow we'll look at the industry, aka gatekeeper's perspective to this as well. So, Trig, one more time, welcome to the studio.
Thank you, Jay.
I mean, Trigmatic has, I don't know if I should tell the Trig story, but many years of experience. When we start off with an artist from the upcoming era to a mid artist to a mainstream artist, I mean, Trig has been, he's seen it all. How many years has this been for you, like professional artists?
I think that would be maybe 12 years.
12 years?
Yeah. And then before stories will be maybe all in all 15 to 16 years, yeah.
Yeah. Would you say you've retired as an artist?
Not yet. I don't think an artist can retire, but I think unless it's on a personal level, it's a personal decision to say I'm not going to actively maybe perform, record, but even with that, the music still stays. I mean, you can look at the likes of Lord Kenya and co, who for personal reasons, whether religious, business, family, but their music is still played. I mean, it's maybe not just on Thursdays when we do throwback, but then people still play. I mean, you have people still streaming, some of these good classics, and so I don't think, not yet. I may on a personal level in the near future, but for now, I'm still working.
Okay, let me move this away from you for a second, and let me generalize the conversation. Now, what factors would make an artist, sometimes slow the release rates of music, that sometimes make the fan think that the artist has taken a side step? What are some of these realistic factors? You are now more like a businessman than an artist. You refresh your IG page, Trig is an essay. You refresh it again, Trig is having some meeting somewhere, and all that. So what are the factors that make an artist, take a side step or slow the rate of release?
Well, I think funding can be a factor. Respecting the lifespan of the artist, or maybe if it's a product, maybe the product life cycle, where you can't remain at one place for a very long time. You move up the ladder, you mature, and then you decline. And then, so along those lines, you have different strategies that you use. And then it could be personal, like I said, whether for religious purposes, for personal belief. It could also be mental. When a lot of artists have come out to say, I have writer's block, or I don't feel like I want to record any longer, then a system can determine that system, if whether it's broken or is good, determines the rate at which you release. Like for instance, in Ghana here, you cannot really track how much you can know how much you put in a promotion, but you can't track the returns. Just because we don't have the system that makes that easy. And so you have people who have put in maybe maybe taking money from family or from friends or worked on loans, and maybe 100,000. It can be USD. Ghana is no respecter of the money you put in your career, and then once you do that, you're waiting for returns. The people who gave you the money are waiting for you to pay back. Business goes bad. That can equally affect that. And so a lot of factors. Some have tough skin, some don't. Some are able to survive the moment, but then it still slows their work, and it slows performance, because performance recording is more mental than we think. You need inspiration, you need motivation, and then like I said, gatekeepers, like you mentioned, media response to your releases can also determine if you want to keep doing it or you just want to just be there. I think earlier you played a video from that Becca did. She said she's a married woman, she's doing business, so all those can also I wouldn't say affect, but they can be determinants to whether you want to actively release or not.
Cyril, let me pick your point on your mindset on this as well. I mean, you've grown from an artist into businessman. You know, it is what it is.
Yeah, it is.
Yes.
I'm abreast with both.
Yeah, abreast with both. You know, let me pick your mind on this before we pick the subject that he's mentioned individually and then go deeper into them.
Well, I think that, you know, there are a lot of factors like Trig said, but one thing that is critical to me out of all the factors is that I think that the landscape that is meant to nurture the artist's lifespan in this our country is not where it's supposed to be. And when I say landscape, I'm talking about everybody from the enablers to the fan bases to the follow-up. Now, we have a culture or a behavioral tradition where we love something when it is novel, when it is new and it's hype, it's selfless and they love you.
Like
but the
new shoe.
New shoe. The moment the new shoe feeling is gone, then the sense of entitlement and forced direction begins. I want J. Foley to do this, but J. Foley brought me jollof and I fell in love with him. Now he said I should try fried rice. Why? And then that kind of thing ripples across everywhere. It ripples across the radio stations, it ripples across the TV stations, it ripples across the fan base, it ripples across everywhere. So you realize that Ghanaian artists are most successful when they are monotonous. Pay attention to it.
Yeah,
the more the artist continues doing the same kind of music or the same kind of content that made them a success, the longer their lifespan. The artists that try and be diverse and open up and sway are usually met with resistance. And
in this country?
Yes.
Or generally?
In this country.
I also doubt that.
No.
Because there are examples to prove otherwise.
The examples to prove otherwise, yes, but the exception does not make the rule. But I'm saying on a larger front, right, we are more tolerant for artists outside of Ghana to do whatever they want to do experimentally with their career, take a break, not show up for 3 years, do something else. Now, they'll be quickly to tell you, say, hey, you know the thing where David do, I say they do real estate now, that's why I no drop. They will hype it. But when Trig doesn't drop for that same period of time, Trig safe. You get the psychology behind it. That's what I mean.
Okay.
We know everything Wizkid is doing. We know everything Davido is doing, right? But people have never put that passion to finding out the great things that Trig is doing. They use his absence and feed only negativity around it.
No, I mean, that's because Wizkid is like in the face of people.
No, if Davido is doing real estate, do you know what?
No, that's what I'm saying.
Do you know any details about it, apart from the fact that we speculated?
That's what I'm saying, that people know what Wizkid is doing because he's doing one thing that they see, which is the music, right? Any other thing he's doing,
what I'm saying is that if a Davido doesn't release for 6 weeks, 6 months, nobody's going to panic about it. Right?
Oh, are you sure?
That's not true.
No, listen. No, but even if we say Davido's last hit was 6 months ago, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
We do the needed thing to find out why on our own.
Okay.
And whatever we do find out, we are quick to use it to justify
why it's absent.
The absence.
Okay.
And we don't make it a negativity. Do you get it?
Okay.
So I mean, let's not use that.
So I saying
right?
I think I get. So what our mindsets as Ghanaians.
But when a trig
already
goes missing for 6 months,
we don't
find out that trig is in SA trying to move the culture.
Yes.
That trig is in UK having meetings.
So a
that are
typical
going to
example is
impact the whole
Mr. Easy,
industry.
is it?
Yes, exactly.
Like
People know everything Mr. Easy is doing. Yes, they go France way, go here way.
So
go
he's
this
still
way,
an
blah, blah,
artist.
blah, blah,
No,
blah,
but
blah,
I
blah,
But
blah.
that's
Don't I
because
think-
Mr. Easy actually shares what he's doing.
No,
Yes,
it's not before we started putting our lives on Instagram. I'm coming from a place
Okay.
where I broke onto the scene in 2009. Right.
Yeah.
So I'm coming from a place before we started tweeting and posting everything.
But of
we
course,
had
you need
seen.
to adjust to what is happening today. You know, when we were talking about this earlier, and I'm glad Trig is here. Trig and I had an issue before based on this same conversation we were having. And he's here, and I'm not going to say it behind. I've told him many times. Every time I see him, I get to remind him. Trig got offended that I asked him whether he was still rapping in an interview. He didn't, and he called a colleague of mine and said, why... Anytime I ask him that question again, I forgot what he said. He was not too happy about it. But then I wanted to know what he was up to, because maybe at that time I had not seen products from him in that regard. Or I don't know if that was a question or it was something I asked him that really...
Why am I still not active or something like
exactly. So contrary to what he's saying, and I want to start from the top where he said that people who do the same things are the ones we accept. The people.
No, that's not what I said.
That's what you said. He said.
I said
if somebody
for you. I said for you to have the longevity, then whatever you broke out with
is what you have to be.
Is what you have to be consistent with, because the moment you try to express that creative dynamic, right? That maybe I'm creative. And I'm a right. Let me give you an example, right? Let me use myself. I'm not going to use anybody's name. I broke out as a battle rap MC and as a hip hopper. So everybody loved this guy. Rap, the freestyle, play some beat for him right now, right? Nobody, you understand?
You try to do some.
Nobody knew that. Nobody knew that even before I broke out as a hip hop MC. I was an advertiser. I already had clients I was managing and marketing for. You understand? I was already an award-winning poet. Before you fall in love with me as an MC.
You were doing your thing.
So now I'm in that box. So if I do anything else or I shine the light on any other part of me, why go to do this thing? Charlie, rap.
And so
I was making a point.
Sorry,
because when you brought that up, it just reminded me of Bisakade. Bisakade has been consistently doing the same type of music. The same as say is one way we don't want. Familia has been consistent doing the same type of music. The same as Kukab say, oh, he's doing funeral song. Let Familia go away a bit from this funeral in quote song. You see us come to say, oh, this is not the style we know him for, and blah blah blah.
Have you heard that proverb of the donkey?
That's exactly what.
Miss G, have you heard the proverb of the donkey?
No, but he said that when you move away from that.
That's why I said that the exception does not make the rule.
But
for
I'm
me,
not
the people you are using as examples, right? Their genre or their styling of music is very specific to them.
Yes.
Right? Bisakade's music, he's probably the only one who was doing that kind of music. For me, who else is you get what I'm saying? That's the thing I'm trying to communicate is that, for example, when who can I use as an example that they won't go and put a headline?
No.
Like
I want to complete. Because I made reference to Trig. I only wanted to emphasize on the point that, whilst is making examples of these people who we don't even know personally, we don't see in our country, but we are able to track what they are doing. Perhaps they are feeding us as often as they can. Maybe not even via their own personal socials, but through blogs. So, for instance, and I use Trigmatic because he had to do with it. I know Trig might not be excited at music. If I don't ask the questions, how then does a fan base or people who hear, sometimes people hear your music, they fall in love with you. They're not necessarily your fans. They just love your song.
So let's do this.
And so if I don't ask the question about, why haven't you been active? If you don't tell me why you haven't been active, then I assume that once
so
you're
let's
not
do this.
Let's gone to sleep
just
and
like
then
when a baby is born till you die out as a fully grown human being. There are stages.
Right.
Baby,
toddler,
baby
child,
and all that thing, adults, puberty and all that. Let us understand first, and I think that's going to help us all. Let's understand the life cycle of a musician.
It's just like a product.
So, yes, and I see a certain point where an artist graduates from you being an active, everyday hothead to becoming a respected brand where you reach legendary status. Now, the question I want to ask to all of us is that, do us as Ghanaians kill an artist in that legendary status that makes the artist look like you've retired? And I'll give you names. Tic Tac, Miss Bell.
But they're in our faces every day. How do we feel they've retired?
Not in our faces every day. So these artists have contributed, they have entertained us. They've reached a certain pinnacle of their artistry where they don't have to be daily releases, if I can say that for want of an expression, of their music. It might not be now a prime business for them as they used to. And I think, like Trig said, interest, mood, time, life, all those things happen. So they reach a certain point where a Reggie Rockstone wouldn't be releasing music like a Last Mid, because he's done with that era of his career. Yeah. And at that point in time, is that a point where Ghanaians retire the artists without the artist even coming to say that, you know what, I'm done with me.
I think before Trick comes, I think it's the point where the artist does not communicate anything to us.
Is it communication, or is not an understanding
totally
of the status?
PR strategies and how an artist communicates what they're doing or what they're up to will vary depending on where they stand on the product life cycle, if I can use that. And so, obviously, look, we can't water down or totally trash what Cyril is saying if you're coming from an artist's point of view. Our system is not set to the point where we even eulogize people who are enablers, because an artist will grow and get to a point where they will become an enabler, whether we like it or not. They'll never remain active for the rest of their lives, no matter how we want to see it. However, in very well-structured industries, for instance, not long ago, and when COVID came, it's proved that it is us and who we are and our orientation towards creative arts in itself. Now, let's not forget that creative arts had long gone been defeated. Years back, your parents would not understand why you want to sit behind these microphones to start with. And so that still stays with us as a people, and we grow with it. And we don't grow out of the fact that, or even regard these people in the creative arts industry as products, just the way we will see how, like a marketer will look at how you did at this time, and so you grew to this and to go to that and to go to that. We don't do that just to even musicians. We do that even to products. And so marketers will tell you the kind of hustle they go through to always reinvent the wheel. And most of them have failed at it. It hasn't been easy. Our market is pretty much like the most complicated and complex place to push yourself, whether as an artist or whatever thing it is. Now, to answer directly your question, for instance, you have grown, like you're saying, to become a name. I don't want to use anybody. Okay, I'll use myself to become, like Trig. And Ms. G is saying that, okay, we forget that based on even individual preferences, even as media people, even as you see, when the fact that you are in the media space or you are a gatekeeper doesn't take away your personal preferences. It doesn't take away your circles and what you listen to. It doesn't take away what you enjoy and what you do not enjoy. And so you don't find the average maybe media person, for lack of a better word, necessarily researching across the scope of the entire industry. They zone in to what is trendy or what is happening. Also, they have their own personal KPIs from maybe their producers, owners of the stations. They have targets, they have numbers and things that they have to meet. So if a Trig, my target now is different. My target audience is totally different. And so anybody that's following like cool art blog, and all that, they're still Ghanaian blogs. And they would probably not say the same thing that a Miss G will say. I'm just using it for the sake of the conversation. Why? Because they probably follow alternative art. They probably follow where my new direction is. Yeah. And so they would tell you give you more information, like he's doing this, he did that, and you probably say, I'm shocked, or I don't even know about it. It doesn't make you bad, neither does it make them even better. It's just what they are following. It's just what they are carrying along. Like not long ago, like I was saying, COVID, when Versus came out of COVID, the most numbers they generated was from the old artists. The numbers. So it defeats the fact that, I mean, look, the Shabarank one, I had to
just
stay
for clarification,
awake.
the Versus with regards to, let's so that listeners want to know what Versus was. Yeah.
Okay, sure.
So just explain,
Okay, yeah, so the Versus sort of started. I think the first Versus was between two Jamaican artists when it first started.
I'll check.
It was a dancehall battle, and this was the time where everybody was home.
Beanie Man
and
a few
Vibes Cartel or someone. And so they decided to do like some kind of battle, sort of, with hits. Who has using their catalog?
So why do you think that there was an interest in, artists from back in the day?
Because music always has that nostalgic effect, and reminds you of moments.
So just a quick one, right? The first one was between Timbaland and Swiss Beats.
Yes.
And it later became both of them their production, which was March 2020, and then they followed to the.
Thank you for that.
One, yes.
Thank you for that. And thank you for even mentioning Sweet Beats, Timbaland. Look, if they were in Ghana, so this will be like the Hammer, Apietus, JQ, and we don't even use them now. Like even artists don't think that all my albums are mixed by mixed and mastered by U-Beats. You know why? Because he understands the job. He's been doing it for years. I'm not there thinking that, U-Beats was there from the Hammer days, and so he's no longer relevant. He has an expertise that I must go for. It's like film when you have like a Spielberg directing for years, and anytime, even his name alone, why do you think they place a value on his name? I don't think it's because he's always putting on his Instagram, on his Twitter that he's the best, or he's about to shoot a new movie or something. But the system gives regard to the value.
They genuinely care.
That thing is, look, let me just to wrap up, like what I'm saying. Even like when I try to do a deal with Mercedes in Santon, I literally just walked into the building holding my EPK as an artist, wanting to have a meeting with the manager. The manager comes in, I present my proposal, what I have in mind. Then he says, can I have your EPK so that we have a look at it and we get back to you? And that's like my press kit. So I leave him.
Electronic press kit.
Yes, I leave that with him. And then I go. Then he calls me back. Based on what? Not what I'm doing currently. Things I've done in the past and like my track record. And then he calls me and says, I think we should do this. And I even think we should add A, B, and C. I think if we do this, it'll be more interesting. And it's not like he's just the only person. There's another brand, like a phone brand, that we did something with. I don't even live there. I didn't have to live there. Just the mere fact that they see the value. And look, my Instagram is not like it has like 1 million followers. But it's just the fact that the kind of crowd that maybe
I want
to appeal to, it goes in line with their brand. But even here, you would have brands that maybe they want to sell something to 55-year-olds or 65 and still want to use
TikTok artists.
Millennials for it. All just because, these are the guys that, these are trending now. We have to push and we have to use them. A lot of it. Now I'm understanding this more because I sometimes stand from the agency point. I'm having to work with BYD as a team member. I'm understanding that when we take new ideas even the people who have the money have been made to think the same way, and then they go for what's this one, if you use this guy, it would have been good. And we're telling this guy doesn't appeal to
that audience.
That audience.
So they want the value, impact, and noise.
Yeah. So that's why we have. That's why we have influencers. And you see it on social media. You have influencers who are promoting a product that they are not directly connected.
You see, what people forget in the
we have to bring finish up.
We
have to bring someone on the line now.
It is very possible to notice something and not care about it.
Yeah.
Right.
So when you are choosing people just because they have large numbers or they are the loudest person on the timeline, yes, we notice it, but we still don't care. That's why influencer campaigns in Ghana, a lot of them tank. Because you pay somebody who has 2 million followers to come and hold something that nobody cares about.
Okay, so hold on with that. So we're going to switch over to the UK to have the legendary Prince Bright join us on the show this morning. Before that, a tweet from DJ Mike Smith says, Trig, Jay, Soulja Boy still headline show, so let's not forget that. Thank you very much, Smith. Bright, good morning.
Good morning, King. How are you?
Fine. Let me quickly get my headsets on there so I can hear you loud and clear as well. It's good to have you. Before we even jump into that conversation, great performance at the GMA UK. Want to touch on that real quickly? How was the experience for you?
Oh, it was amazing. The auditorium was just spectacular. Everything from sound to the venue was just amazing. And the night had everybody coming in. It was like, it was like a family reunion for us. To see Samini, KK Fosu, Mad Fish, all these guys come together to put up that show was just spectacular.
Wow, I like that. Now, there was a period where Prince Bright wasn't, or we as fan base didn't hear or see much from you as an artist, or not as a businessman, as an artist. We didn't hear or see much from you with releases. I think the wave caught on again personally for me when you did that collaboration with Sarkodie. Even prior to that, when you and may his soul rest in perfect peace, Ronnie did that the song.
Ronnie.
Sorry,
Kolo.
Kolo. Yes, exactly. Now, let's go back to the period where before that song came out. Do you feel that it'll be wrong for fans to say that, okay, has Prince Bright retired from music? We don't hear much from him. Would it be wrong for your fan base to say that?
Well, since nobody comes out to say specifically what's going on within that time period, they would never know. So I guess jumping to assumptions or conclusions would, justify what their thought process is at the moment. At that point, Bright had to take care of other things. And the fact that I wasn't living in Ghana then definitely would account to that, So I guess they have the right to their opinions. But then, I had to do what I had to do.
Gee, I think I have a question, yeah.
I think that it begins to tie into what I'm saying. So because you didn't communicate as to what you were doing, if I ever went on radio and said, Prince Bright, I think he's retired. He's in the United States now, and I don't think he wants to do music. At that time, would I have been wrong? Because he had not communicated anything to me or to us.
Well, since I haven't said anything, I may say, well, you're wrong from my perspective, but then it's your opinion about the issue. You know what I'm saying? Because, for instance, if I'm not here right now to tell you exactly what's going on with me or even my location, you would never know. And personally, I think they may be wrong, but then it's their opinion and I have to respect it.
How difficult?
Until I prove myself right.
Okay. I just want to understand, because I am beginning to think it's a communication thing. I want to understand, how difficult is it for artists when they are not producing, they are not directly in our face? How difficult is it for them to tell us whether they're on a break or whatever is their state of mind, so that we actually are in tune, so that when we are looking for you, so, Bright says he's done this or he's on this break or this is what is happening to him, give him some months, give him some years. How difficult is it for artists to communicate what is happening to them or what state they are in to their fans, to the industry, so that we don't begin to look like we are the ones projecting what is not the reality?
One thing I've learned about our fan bases are we have no patience to wait. Consistency plays a lot in this industry. If you're not consistent, especially in our culture, we're quick to shove you away and say, oh, he's branded old school. It's that quick. And sometimes I feel like that perspective hits on the artist, so they don't want to even say nothing. Like me, I wouldn't even come on live. I haven't been on live, maybe IG, or I haven't even been on Facebook Live before. Because the minute you come out to say, oh, I'm releasing something, they're expecting it. And if you don't make that timeline, they're like, oh, you know what I mean? So it's better you don't say nothing and just hit them with surprises as time goes on.
Saying that, yeah, do you feel like the fans are entitled to some kind of expectation? Because as an artist, your product life cycle is connected to your following, right? And like you said, once upon a time there were consistent releases, right? Now you take a break,
right?
Either voluntarily or involuntarily, right? And the fans were looking forward to. I'm saying this because of Rihanna, right? Like when you look at the Rihanna fan base,
right,
there's this sense of entitlement. Like, yo, give us music. Like, we know you're doing this, you're doing that, but we want the music. For an artist, right? How do you deal with the entitlement that comes with the fans? Do you think that you owe it to them to tell them something?
You do, but see how they perceive it is another thing. You know, it's easy for me to say, okay, Jay, we having lunch tomorrow, and I don't show up. You'd be disappointed. You know what I mean? So that's the same thing with our fans. The minute you tell them, okay, I'm releasing something tomorrow, and you don't make the deadline, it's like, okay, he's not even serious. You know what I mean? And you feel pressured to put something out if... Come again?
Please go ahead.
Yeah. So you feel pressured to put something out if the fans are really expecting you to drop something. Somebody hit me up recently, was like, oh, I know anytime around October, September, you in Ghana with a Christmas banger. So they're expecting something. Sometimes I might drop something, sometimes I might not, depending on the situation I'm dealing with. You know, so yeah, that's what it is.
Whose responsibility is it to protect an artist's legacy, you know, so that there is a certain longevity that would always be in the mind of the people? Is it the artist himself, or is it, you know, the maybe the gatekeepers or the consumers?
I think it's a collective responsibility. It plays both ways because as an artist, in my mind, I feel I'm still relevant, regardless of my consistency in releasing songs. But then if the gatekeepers are quick to brand me as an OG and knock you out of your feet, then, you know what I mean, it's hard work when you're coming back in the industry with something new. You know what I'm saying? As artists, we try as much as possible to stay, you know, up to date with whatever's going on. But the environment might push you or shove you to the side if you're not careful. With how you put things together.
I mean, when you say gatekeepers, right? I think this conversation depends on the angle you're coming from, or it depends on where you stand. So as an artist, when you say a gatekeeper, you say gatekeepers, who are you talking about?
Personally, a gatekeeper literally means somebody who is in control of something, to me personally. You know what I mean? And if you have the power, Mr. J. Foley, Trigmatic, to put me on to a level where my artistry or my work would shine so everybody could see. But you decide, okay, today I'm going to play only Jay-Z because that's the current stuff going on, or Jay-Z just released it. So I don't think I need to go back in time to bring any book back releases. Then at the point in time, you're in control. You are in charge of my career. Because I can't just do social media and tell my people, okay, my direct consumers, I have a product. It's not ready yet, but you have the control to keep my legacy up and running. Because I'm not behind the media or the platform that would establish me as somebody important in the industry. So it all falls back to you. And also, reverting back to me as an artist, I need to stay consistent because like we said, the millennials now depend on who's really hitting the hardest.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So if you are quick to accept the fact that you are an OG and you don't step up to the plate, then, you know what I mean, you'll be sharp aside and everybody would just,
okay.
you know.
I want to push. I want to push all of them to the wall. I want to push.
I want to push Trig too before.
I want to push Trig. I want to push Serial, and I want to push Prince Bright.
Ask, he kept using the word OG. I want to ask these people. The artists always say people call them OG. People like which people call them OG, and why do they call them OG? Is it because of respect, which has to do with the legendary status, or they find it an insult when people say Onukpa? Because I normally call him Onukpa because I feel like I was in SS or JSS when I used to listen to him. But when they begin to say, we call them OG, I want to understand how they perceive it. Do they see it as disrespect, or they accept that it's the legendary status that is being conferred on you?
I think it's about who and what. Yeah,
no, because he kept saying, let me hear him.
Yeah, let him say.
It goes both ways. I feel honored when I'm called an OG. You know, OG in like where I live now in the States, if you're an OG, you're respected. You know what I mean? You're honored. You know what I mean? Personally, I think it's an honor. Some people might put a negative angle to it. Like when the social media bullies get on and, you know, Twitter and start going at you. That's negative. You know what I mean? So it depends on who is branding it with what, whether it's going to be positive or negative. Like you, my sister, when you see me anytime, Onukpa, some of the youngins, I call them the youngins because, you know what I mean? Even though, sorry about that. Even though some of my brothers in there are like, I'm as much as like equal age-wise can you be here. I might be older than some of them. So when they call me Onukpa or Big Brother, I accept that. You know what I'm saying? But that doesn't, it's like, I'll take it personal, like, Onukpa no Bemi. You know what I mean? Because I'm grateful and honored that sometimes when I come in with something new, it's like I never left. You know what I mean? So if you call me the OG, I take it. I never take that as an insult. I take it as an honor.
Okay. I mean, you partly answered the question I was about to throw to all three of you, you know, about pushing you to the edge a little bit, that the game that you are in, or the business of music that you are in, partly, and I stand to be corrected, partly demands a certain level of consistency and relevance. When the systems work, you don't even need that consistency anymore because we'll still be soaking Luther Vandross without him releasing anything new. And even when you are, God forbid, you're dead and gone, we'll still be soaking a Michael Jackson and enjoying the music. So the business presents a certain behavior that an artist must keep at that behavior, so that the fan base don't carry a certain perception. And that's a question that I'm throwing back to all three of you, because I think in all three different instances, a Prince Bright instance, a Trig instance, and a Serial instance, there has been a certain communication, whether you like it or not, like what Ms. G said, to ask the fans that, wait, hold up, Trig engaged in some serious business on the side. He's been moving around. Wait, Prince Bright, we hadn't heard from him. I want to ask him what Prince Bright was doing within that period. Okay, hold on. Serial, he whet my appetite with some crazy rap battles, and then boom, I didn't hear from Serial again. All three of you owe us, because when you needed our attention, we gave it. So all three of you owe us a certain communication that hey, I'm going into a business of this or that for a bit, so that I don't come back hard at you guys.
Did Rihanna tell you anything?
Hold on. I'm talking about Ghana. I'm here with you. When Prince Bright. No, hold on. I'm just saying. I love all three of you.
I have an answer for you.
Yeah, I'm coming. I love all three of you very much, and I mean highest respect to Prince Bright. I love all three of you, but I just want to say as blunt as it is. When Bookback served us with all the music. Your recent tweet to someone, and that should tell you how much I'm following. Your recent tweet to someone about the visuals, the video, the movie for Gonja Barracks.
Crazy.
Yes. I remember the day that song came out first. I mean, I was going to say I downloaded it. I didn't download it. I mean, I watched that video over and over again. When Trig and I have history, so when Trig was bouncing around every day off the song Life, and there were two, Life and My Jolly. We were there with you, bro. We stood in for all of you. You served us all the support that these three names needed. He gave to us. Look, when Cyril, he thinks he ran away. When Cyril was in SA during the battle and he was cheated, and I say that on strong grounds, he was cheated because he was supposed to have won that battle.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
The whole of Ghana will rally behind Cyril. Hence the reason why we have three great artists like you today.
You also dropped the payment.
And then you ghost on us.
Okay.
And expect that we don't have to carry a perception. We have to carry a perception.
We're entitled to ghost.
I need reaction to this.
Yeah. So first of all, you've already addressed my first point for me. This goes to everybody listening. Musicians are not defined by the consistency of their releases.
Thank you.
Who said?
Bro, let me.
I disagree.
Make a pitch. Collection time. All right. Comments. I say again, musicians are not defined by the consistency of their releases.
Thank you.
Art is subjective and timeless.
Thank you.
Let me give you an example. Mariah Carey released a Christmas album about 22 years ago, 23 years ago. I've forgotten the details. But that's probably, listen.
Exception to the rule doesn't make it the rule, bro.
No,
that's what he said.
That's what he said. Prince Rice, please, isn't that what he said?
He's citing an example. Can he finish?
Let me flow.
That's an ambush. Make it flow.
Let me flow. I can name a million artists, if we had time, who of their old projects that fell in love were enabled by the same industry, from playlisters, DJs, host shows, whatever, to sustain based on the quality of the content that they've already put out there. So whether or not Cyril is still releasing or Trig is still releasing, right? Nothing stops you from engaging Cyril. Let me relax.
I want you to speak for Ghana. Don't tell me about America.
Prince Bright is in the UK now. Do you know some other Cyril or Trigmatic?
Prince Bright is in the UK, but he's Ghanaian.
Yes, I'm talking about all of us.
Yes.
You see, the collective effort of the industry we find ourselves matters. The industry itself is not where it is supposed to be, right, for things to be right. So you cannot put the blame.
But in your own flow, what are you doing?
Let me flow. I've literally written it down. I was quiet for everybody.
Honorable flow.
Let me flow.
Honorable flow.
Listen, the industry itself is not where it's supposed to be. You said Mike Smith says what? Soulja Boy is still touring. Lionel Richie is still touring. He's still playing shows. He's still on interviews. He's still been invited into radio stations to discuss issues that are relevant. The industry is helping keep that brand and that personality alive, despite the fact that Lionel Richie is not trying to compete with the guy who sang Heartbreak Anniversary and all these other Giveon and all these other new guys. But the industry is so well equipped that the industry is sustaining such brands, right? How is the industry sustaining Cyril? How's the industry sustaining Trig? Oh, relax. Make a flow. How's the industry sustaining
Prince Bright?
Prince Bright. When was the last time Prince Bright, apart from us calling him, when was the last time Prince Bright was called onto a major conversation or an industry deciding moment or something?
Saturday night.
No, relax. I'm not talking about the performance. That performance.
But that is a conversation. It's a type of a conversation.
I'm not talking about the ones there's an award show and there's this and that. Even he said he was overwhelmed by seeing his peers from the time then. It was like a connecting moment, which goes to speak to the fact that it doesn't happen often. So that is it. Now, what has the industry done? I have spoken to many people about hip hop in Ghana, right? We consume hip hop from everywhere except Ghana, right? How did you enable me? I did my best. You don't remember, but Jay, but the first time we met was at the MC Africa battle. You came with Gemini.
Yeah.
Do you remember? And then when I kept killing everybody started not being my friend.
You kill it.
Do you understand? That's the first time. That's the first time you and I met, right? I left what I had at the time as a budding business to go and showcase this talent and built a fan base and went on an international level to support what I thought we could all move behind. The only person who two people granted me interviews, Jessica, a City FM, and then Miss Baby G, who was at the private building.
She's not at Max TV.
The other building, what was it?
No, you mean Baby
G?
Baby G.
Fair.
Baby G.
Only 2 people. I literally went around looking for media that this is what is happening. It's not even a meme.
Okay.
Listen,
you finish it.
Trigmatic.
You have a minute to go, please.
Trigmatic ended up. Trigmatic took a break from music. I wanted to go into agriculture. I wanted to go into other businesses. Blogs and the same news that was supposed to have helped us promote Trigmatic's catalog of music and sustained the music brand while he had the space to experiment in other things. Were the ones posting people's snide jokes and the negative press that in music no defy again. I hear say right now in the farm, blah blah blah. The same press that was supposed to enable us to pour kerosene on the negative fire around his brand name and his brand worth. So how does that help him? When Rihanna can take a break and say, I want to sell makeup, and we say it in a positive light, discussing women who are impacting the world, then we put Rihanna's picture there. But Trigmatic wants to promote local agriculture, and then we say the headline is that Trigmatic tired of music, wants to start
So Cyril, in understanding how the environment works in Ghana, and that's why I'm coming back to Prince Bright and Trig, in understanding how the environment, because these points...
The environment is not limited to the musician. That's what I'm saying. You're using the word environment, but you're expecting the input only from the musician.
Why is the musician also not working within his environment? Because all the other examples you've made are external examples.
Listen, you cannot force me to drive a broken down car.
No, wait, hold on.
Listen, if the machine I'm inside is broken,
Cyril,
right?
Okay, I want to ask you this question. I want to ask this question, and this question goes to all 3 of you. And I'm going to use Bryce as an example. When Colin was dropped, the reaction was super. It was super. It became a hit song. I think about 3 years ago, 4 years ago.
Yeah. I think
it was a super. Please, Bright, can you attest to this for me? It was a super hit song. This is how much the audience had been starved of your music.
Even on Saturday, what happened to them on Saturday in the UK showed how much
people have missed. So now using Bryce as an example, before you speak, I'm coming to Trig to say that now for Trig, I mean, I think Trig took a different direction with regards to the kind of music he does. Don't you think that there also is a certain level of unfairness from the artist to the fans?
That's why I said it's a collective effort.
And let's talk about Ghana. I don't want Rihanna. I do not want Rihanna, or I do not want...
That's why I said it's a collective effort.
So I'm picking...
You are choosing the person
Hold on. Yeah, but I'm a politician.
No.
So let me hear from Trig and Bright on this.
Just a quick one. Cologne was released 10 years ago.
10 years ago.
2012.
10 years ago.
Right now, that what is the industry doing to highlight this nice?
10 years ago. This is what celebrate. 10 years ago.
2012.
It will come back to.
Now we are clapping. What did the industry do to celebrate that?
What did the industry do? The industry is still jamming to the music.
Amplify yourself as a musician.
I want to pick Trig and Prince Bright on this. That don't you think you guys owe us something?
No, we don't.
That is from a place of entitlement.
We don't. Well, before I even go on to say anything, Charlie, drama we more living Charlie, Charlie, just show more voice again. Charlie, dolly, let me wicked. Anyways, to answer Jay and Miss G, guys, look, it's everywhere in the world except Ghana. Well, at least a few places, I'll use few, that I've been in the world, except Ghana, is where we think the industry actually must thrive off a musician. The musician is just about 2 or maybe 5% along the value chain of the entire ecosystem
of the music
industry. The musician is one. In fact, he's just their talent. He is managed. The PR is done around him by a team. He works with administrators. It also includes media involvement. It includes labels. It includes management companies, distribution companies, streaming companies, a whole lot. You don't single out one person out of it. Look, and Cyril's talk about systems, and we think that, maybe they matter. In a country where the songbook culture works, where a radio station is limited because of clearance, we are lucky. Like us here, like this morning, You have no idea the number of rules we flouted, the number of, if it was in another country, the number of the breaches, the number of lawsuits that could come. You understand? We have to understand that these things work elsewhere, and it doesn't have to be America. And the reason why it's important to bring in all other factors is because we're now globalizing everything. Collaborations are coming in. Look, about 70 or 80% of our most relevant, in quote unquote, as you guys have made it, artists here have their catalogs managed by foreign companies, and they are signed by foreign companies. In as much as they have Ghanaians or people looking like the ones in front of them, the guys don't call the shots. I'm even afraid what's going to happen to our culture capital after some time. After some time, who is going to own it? But that's for another day. And so when these things come to play, imagine if this morning we're limited to playing a certain number of songs from within a folder, and you can't go outside of it because of clearance. Because if this was any advanced country, that would be what will be happening this morning. That's why they are not quick to say, oh, somebody's an OG, because you have no other option. If you have a new song, it's not as easy as we see it. Like, I have a new song. Yes, the streams there is different. But traditional media, like we're doing right now, for them to quickly like push you off, no, because that person, and you see pay per play also depends on the growth of the music, the how long the music has stayed. And so if I'm playing an old classic, I know how long I want to play it for, because of course my company is also, and there's monitoring to know how long I played it for and how much we have to pay for that kind of thing. But that system, maybe it will take us some time to get there. We've been fighting for it. It will take some time to get there. But that's what's happening everywhere. And so the fact that we are doing things anyhow or anyway does not mean that it's also right. Like, Cyril has to every day release a song, every day. Look, when you release a song, a proper label will actually exhaust that song within maybe 2 or 3 years for one single. They take you on a tour for it. You go on a radio tour, go on a TV tour. When you play concerts around the world for it, they put the music video, they do other versions of it, merchandising, remixes, and for one song for years. If this was happening here, you can imagine what fans will say, the way we've made the fans to say, no, you know
I side with you, right? You know I side with you, right? But you know I side with you, right? But I'm gonna have to push you.
No, that's fine.
Okay,
that's fine. And
also, after I want to hear what Bright will say.
Lastly, you see, we have also, we also don't see ourselves, all of us here, as collaborators. That's why Miss G probably thinks that her job is disconnected from my job.
It's not.
No. But that's not what everyone thinks. That's not the norm. That's not the accepted norm. And so a blogger is putting something on it, thinking, like you said, fine, it's your content, but it's not your content. It's a content that can make and unmake you and make and unmake me and affect the entire ecosystem.
There needs to be balance.
There needs to be balance. You can do the news that will bring you the numbers, but in that same vein, because if anybody says, and I'll use myself as an example, I mean, from 2010 is when I got my first award, after which I've received 4 other VGMAs, 3 other Foresight, a few other ones from Base Awards. They are in my house, plenty. And
I don't get one self.
And as much as there were publicity, even from those different platforms, they did their own publicity, put it out there and everything. So you can't say that news was not made. You can't say that. I mean, my last performance was in Nigeria 2 weeks ago on Celebration. There was a story on it. It was on my page. It was on my personal pages. There were stories written on it from other blogs. It was on some TV stations as well. And so maybe
Trey, did you get a PR company to do all that for you?
I have a PR team, so that's what I'm saying. No, but doesn't that come with funding? Doesn't that come with a planning and all this? And that is not free. You're working with a team. How much does I always say, I sometimes blame some of my colleagues who probably make it look like, oh, everything is fine, everything is cool, and everything is smooth. They know that they're struggling with certain things, and because they have to fund it by themselves. Jay knows.
Yeah.
For the past, 15 years, I've never worked with the label. It's been my funding. And so when there are thousands of me, apart from the few who are lucky to have like maybe the links and even with that, we see what happens after. What happens after is not that the artists are bad or the label is bad. It's just that
without the system,
without the system, they can't function.
Okay. Trick, let me just because of the time, I want to hear, because I want us to move on to another subject real quickly. Sure. But, Bright, please, have we lost Bryce on the conversation?
We lost him. He's gonna come back.
Oh, I think let's get him. Let's get him back. But okay,
yeah, I wanted to ask Trick something.
A lot of things I want to ask Trick.
Trick, so with all that you've said, right? I don't want to be a situation where it looks like we are pushing the blame, right? Clearly, it's a collaborative effort, right?
Good.
But at the center of this is the funds, right? You make the funds, right? Because of your music, because of the product you put out.
We all do.
No, the narrative.
No. You see, I'm not saying. I'm
the
saying
artist doesn't make the funds.
Yes, the artist doesn't make
the artist doesn't make the fund.
If the artist does not put out music,
listen, the artist doesn't make the fund. Okay, the amplification makes the fund.
Yeah.
There's a picture, we've all seen it on the internet, of a lion holding his child. And one side of the picture, it looks like he's eating the child's head. And then they show you the other angle and they say that perspective matters. That amplification is what will make you a villain or a hero. So if Trigmatic has the best song we have heard in our life, and the press decides to carry it this way, that is what's going to create the fan base and the success or failure of the song. If they want to carry it that way, that will also affect
so
it.
That,
Do you get
I'm
so
drawing from this
doing good music
conversation.
intrinsically.
I'm drawing
I have a good song in the studio right now, banger.
I'm drawing from this conversation that most artists, when they are at the peak of their career, when they are enjoying their attention, the system is working.
that's what I was going to
No, I disagree. I totally disagree.
I think that Trick answered what the question you asked, but I want to re-ask it because he said it. You see when he said that he has a PR team he's working with, publications have been made.
Yes.
And so imagine he didn't have a PR team.
We wouldn't have known.
He puts it on his social media. It is on your social media. I decide if I want to use it as news or not. But once you have a PR team, they get to circulate it. And that is the same with their music.
Right.
If you release music,
we'll talk about collaborations.
You have a team
I want updates on that.
Media people you want to amplify your music.
Right.
Now, when you do that and they don't play, then that's when you say, oh, I gave it to a team of people and they don't play.
Yes.
And they are not pushing it to my fans. First, the question is, how do I amplify your music that you haven't given me? And I'm not using you as Trick. I'm talking about, those in the bracket where we're looking at. For instance, I just noticed that a few months ago, KK Fuso has released a song, what we're talking about this morning. I never heard it anywhere. What happened to the song? Am I to go around looking for a KK Fuso song, knowing that the millennials are the consumers of my station at this point? I will do... And pardon my words, I would say I'll put a KK Fosu in there just because I know that this is a man who once upon a time
was hot.
Yeah. So let's do something to help him. If the artists themselves are not going about saying, hey, take at this point where I've gotten to, that's the problem. They feel, and this is what I wrote that. I said, my worry is that some of these legendary artists feel that we are sitting down waiting for them. And sitting down crossing our legs that, if this A artist doesn't bring a song,
this is great. Let's debate this out. I like this. Thank you very much. I like this debate.
This is totally wrong.
Let's debate this.
This is totally wrong. And let me just say this. I had just gotten on a market that I've never known, I've never been. I never had to meet any radio presenter. Okay? Unfortunately, that system doesn't work here, where agencies carry out that job. That's why I said that the fact that our system is broken and yet we're still making it work one way or the other doesn't mean that is the norm. You always need an agent or an insider because you can imagine an artist. How many stations can you go to? How much funds can you give to all these people? Let me just say this: the fact that you have certain artists from a certain country or other countries doing it, it's easy to leave one country and come in and say, meet a J. And J can say, oh, I know Miss G. I know a few people. So now I can give a chunk of money to J for J to disperse and have you invite me to your show, me go here for a short time, especially knowing that my market is broken and the system can easily accept me. Trust me, I was talking to Cyril about a certain event that just happened over the weekend in my second home.
South Africa?
I knew how the outcome would be like. And I've been saying this since. And ever since I started going there, from media people to television people, I've pushed a lot of people to try and get on that same market. Why? Because until we go there with the force, look, their market is not like ours. Like you just come and you people keep saying on radio, and then these people, when they come now, they go on. Do you know what it takes to even, do you know the number of emails you send to get a radio interview in SA? Like the number of emails that you have to send, like add your EPK, your catalog, and they will respond and they'll tell you this and that before they actually. So let's not make it look like the artist has to go from one radio station. That's what you said.
No, you
said the artist has to go around.
But the agency represents.
So our time, when
you talked about your PR. When you talked about your PR, you didn't talk about you yourself.
No,
I use your
but
PR
when I
as
said
example.
PR, it's not a PR company. It's a team. That
so
I have
what's
put
wrong
together.
if the PR team goes on your behalf?
So now you're correcting yourself.
No,
because you said the artist. You can't say that the artist should personally.
All right, hold on.
The artist should personally go around.
Who is the PR representing?
You can't say
I'm not saying, maybe you just took it literally.
Okay, hold on.
Okay, fine. Maybe I took it literally.
Because I was going to say, even based on this, that what is even wrong at this point, based on what you've also told me, that artists sit in their homes and say, through music, I want a partnership with you. I have a new project. How many of them do that?
It's the job of the administrative team.
But who is the administrative team representing?
The artist, the artist is an artist. Let's not forget.
I want us to take this point one by one. We are actually having the same. I think we're having the same conversation, but in two different angles. That's what I see here. So there is what I'm deriving from this is that there's this there's a request from the fan that the artist needs to have a certain let me just break it down. Departments before you can function as an artist. The artist is saying I'm having challenges setting that thing up because of the broken record we have in our system. But anyway, before we continue with this, Bryce is back on the line. I want to pick his opinions on the conversation so far, real quickly. Prince Bright, please, if you can hear us, let's hear your opinions on this matter.
Loud and clear.
Yeah, can you hear us?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you loud and clear. Yeah. We want to pick your opinion on the conversation so far.
I missed the chunk of it.
Okay, so sorry. So we're still trying to not per se a blame game, but we're still trying to find out. And I think it stems off the back of Miss G's point on communication. That the fans have a certain expectancy from the artist, and the artist also, has a certain mindset at a point in time, and that gap that has been created sort of makes the fan base easily lay aside certain artists at a certain point in time, and then move on, and then categorize that artist as you are retired. Hence the slip of tongue from Abeku Santana recently when he said, "Wait, Miss Bell, a former artist," it's because of that gap. So I was just want to find out from you what your opinion is on that fans feel like artists don't talk to them on their state and their situations.
I believe we have a situation where they go by walk the talk. If I'm to communicate every step I make and I'm not putting out music or doing what they expect of me, then I'm not playing my part, my fair part of the deal we have. As an artist, I believe our fans are people we marry, people we get in a relationship with. And for that relationship to work, definitely there should be that communication between us. Sometimes I feel we are obliged to do that. But then again, if you say you're going to do something and for some reasons you're not able to do it, but you're not able to clarify your main reason why, that's where you kind of stay mute because somebody might misunderstand where you're coming from. That's why most of us sometimes lay back and not say anything until we have a product to put out. You know what I mean? So it goes both ways. Of course, we have an obligation to let them know what we are about, but sometimes it's also good to keep a lid on it until it's ready to be, put out. It all boils down to our culture has no patience. The fact that artist A is consistent and you as an artist is not consistent, they're quick, like I said earlier on, to push you on there. You are not consistent level or category.
Onupa, so, I want to find out from you. Onupa, so within the time,
I like that, Onupa.
Within the time that, say, you're busy with other stuff, or for whatever reason you have not released anything. If I'm a consumer of your product, what do you expect me to do at that point? Move on to another artiste, open the doors to somebody else,
not necessarily,
and come back to you when you're ready? Maybe I moved on. What about that?
C-Real made a very important statement to me. Gans, we say Kuchek Bolkewana.
Can you please bring that into English for those of us? Things we do in the past
are classic. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know how to translate that.
Oh, Charlie.
But literally it means as an artist, you never forget the tools you work with. Stuff like that, you know what I mean? When we put out a song, the longevity of the song is very important to us. We want to make it classic. Some might just want to ride the wave at the moment, you know what I mean? I might not want to just put a music or something out that is going to last me, let's say, 2 weeks and it's out. I don't work like that. That's why I take a lot of time to put in work to make sure whatever's coming out is classic. When recently at the GMAs, everything I did over there was stuff that we've done like 10, 20, 24 years ago. I was singing Chingalinga. Chingalinga is about 22 years old. You know what I'm saying?
Crazy.
And it still pops because people can relate to it. You know what I mean? So
if you had people who were 19, 20 in there, do you think they would have been able to sing to that song? Maybe it's because of the niche you had in there. I'm asking because now we're dealing with a lot of ages, which I don't know which is the right thing to say.
Right. Gen-Z's are on TikTok dancing to 90s songs.
I've had young ones come up to me and be like, Mr. Bright, I was 2 years old. I was 4 years old when I heard this song. I was 6 years old. It doesn't necessarily mean they were born or they were here at the time that songs were released. Because, they still play book back songs from back in the day. Mm-hmm. And because they do, the young ones are able to listen to it and relate to it. I believe a song like Daddy Kondo Mediani, a lot of people were not even,
born.
You know what I'm saying? But then they can relate to it because it's something that we created to last longer. So it's not just like, okay, we'll just wrap it up and serve the people, and 2 weeks the song is out of the way. You know what I mean? So it boils down to how things look and how they're available to, they're willing to accept it for what it is.
Manje, I just want to ask a question here. Do you think that sometimes time becomes your enemy, in the sense that the ever-changing facets of the industry, there's always a new thing that's coming that always sways the audience, right? So I understand that you want to put out a classic, but as an artist, from the artist perspective, do you think like, if I don't put out music or I don't try to integrate myself at this time, I just may lose my existing audience and possibly new audience?
If that question is directed to me personally, I will say I'm not in a rush to put out a record, because whether I put out a song or I don't put out a song, I'm still going to be rocking the microphone regardless. Why? Because I've built a repertoire, I've built a resume for myself or a catalog for myself where I can always fall back and have people support the music. Even if, let's say, the last one I did was Sock. Nobody saw that coming.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? it was something that I felt, okay, this is something that I want to do. And okay, we did it with Sark, and it's all over the place. That's what I want to do. So today I can sing Au Feuilleton with Sark, and you'll feel like we released it last year. Right. Why? Because we're up to date.
Right.
You know what I mean?
But that's for you. But that's for you as an OG artist, right? So looking at an artist that perhaps had a hit song, or what we call a one-hit song wonder, right? They drop a hit song and they are not quote-unquote relevant anymore. How would you describe that kind of situation? Is it an issue of, it was by lack, or perhaps, the audience were just, in that state to receive a song like that and you've moved on? Because you have a repertoire of
okay, I would say we got lucky. We got lucky to have that catalog behind us at a time where it wasn't a lot of people, and it was serious business because you had labels. If I may put it, you have people behind us pushing our music. Now, most of the musicians are independent, and it boils down to funding. Now music is a multi-billion-dollar industry. You know what I mean? If you're going to put out a song, you better have the money to back it. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And back then, we had the support. But now the new ones are struggling to put songs out. You know what I mean? Because it takes a chunk out of your pocket to really promote your song the way you want it. Mm-hmm. You can do it within the confines of Ghana and probably get away with it if you're lucky. Social media blesses you. But if you're really serious about going mainstream, we're talking big money behind it. Yeah. You know what I mean? Okay. So, yeah, that's what it is.
Because of time, we will have to wrap this up. But before I let you off real quickly. So what's new from your end? What are we expecting?
Something amazing. It's about time. I'm looking at doing something. My numbers are 1111 every day. So now I feel pressure to put something out. I don't have to. But even if I don't release anything on 11/11, something magical still happens, regardless. So I'm not pressured. I tell my fans out there, thank you for the support. Mm-hmm. I know how it's been without Ronnie and everything, and that's the reason why sometimes I don't put out records just like that. Because you know what I'm saying. I feel like it has to be right. It's not like I'm not ready, but I want it to be right. So when it comes out, I don't face a situation where, okay, I'm falling short somewhere. Yeah. You know what I mean? It has to be right. So I want to plead with my fans out there. If I don't drop a record, it's not like I don't want to be consistent. The environment in Ghana now thrives on consistency. You know what I'm saying? But it's worked for us a couple of years back, but now I look at things differently. And approach them differently.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I just want to personally say, I mean, I'm a big Bright fan, and so big up Bright. But just also for all of us to understand like the conversation and why I'm saying that everyone is an enabler and all it must be all inclusive. Is I remember I called Bright. Why? Because just like everyone is concerned, we missed the music. And I had the power then. I was on radio. I called Bright. I said, bro, I hear you're coming to Ghana. I personally want to be part of like the promotion of your song because I want to be involved in pushing your music for nothing. Like, please bring the music to me. Let me have it. I'll make sure like every time I'm on air, I rotate that song. And so when he came and like he reached, I said, bro, I'm on air. I'm going on air, and I've done that for songs. I remember seeing a soul didn't want to release her first single. Like I literally released it without their permission. You understand? Because she said, I want to finish school. And I just released it. And I pushed it. And so many other artists. And so when we find ourselves in a space where we can actually be actual enablers, we have to do it. Like, from medical to, like, Chris Water will call me and I said, look, just bring the guy's song. Let's have an interview. Let's create it this way. Let's have it this direction. And not always want to have news from it. Because sometimes we are in that position to propagate a setting message, and then after all of that things come to play. I mean, there's no industry without negatives. And so big up Bright. I really appreciate what you've done, your contributions to our music. The first time I met Bright, I was a kid. I was going to he was performing, but I was opening for them at Aviation, and he was like, after this performance, I'm going to the States. It's like, bro, Charlie, you be my don and everything. Yo, man.
Right. Thank you so much for joining us on the show this morning.
That.
Yes, and we'll keep following everything. As for your tweets, I put notification on it. So when you post it, I'm there. I see it. Thank you so much, my brother, and we'll definitely get back to you.
Thank you. God bless you. Thank you for having me.
Welcome.
Thank you so much.
All right, welcome. So that's Brian. Let me just quickly wrap us up in the studio. I mean, look for Trig, yeah.
No, but we haven't asked Trig the question.
Yeah,
Trig, I want to ask you specifically. Who retires an artist?
Okay, well, artist never retires.
So, so the radio presenter cannot retire the artist.
That conversation is even flawed, to start with, because I mean, if Ghana. You see, the artists.
Okay, I don't want you to go too deep because we just have a minute left.
All right, cool.
No, I need to hear about celebrations. That's why I'm pushing this agenda.
Yeah, so I'll go to celebration.
Hurry, because we have just a minute.
Okay, sure. So all I'm saying is that let's not limit ourselves to one market. Look, the market is big. There's Cote d'Ivoire that supports culture even better than Ghana. There's Cote d'Ivoire, there's Benin, and not just even Nigeria. Stop going to Nigeria alone. Go elsewhere. And these countries, like, look, the last video I saw of Adina was in Australia, not Sydney. In Australia, but a town that probably no one would have thought of. That sometimes I look at my streams and majority is coming from something island, and I'm thinking, and see, those things are analytics you have to use for your promotion. Once you see that majority of your streams is coming from some India or something, you can take a flight to India. Don't limit yourself to just here and when you go and you come back, Miss G will interview you.
Thank you.
So I just checked my IG analytics.
You didn't let me take our celebration.
It's sad. I'm coming to it. It's sad because I realized that number one, I have more men following me. Number two, all the men are in a crowd. I know.
You'll be hot cake. You'll be hot cake.
But doing all the pictures I
do. Save you transport.
But anyway, Craig, we have to go. But please, celebrations. Tell us about. I saw you posted out there that you were you were going to Nigeria.
Yeah.
It's been consistent on this. They always put you back in there.
Yeah. This time when I got a call from the family, the Kuti family, and big shouts to them. I was very, very excited about it because I felt like this time I even had more songs that connected to the whole Fela vibe. And so when I called the band, we got ready, we rehearsed, and always, anytime I'm done performing, the daughter says, "You remind me of my father."
Trig, the daughter.
No, that's she's way older.
I just said the daughter.
and she always says that you remind me of my father. And this is the second or third time that she said it. I think the first one I also met one of their legends there, Daddy Shoki, and he actually made me kneel down and he said, "God bless you for remembering your fathers." And that was because I performed a Elijah K. Frimpong song in my end. This year the crowd moved. I saw Akosia there. I was happy to see her because she traveled all the way to come see the performance. The crowd was going crazy, and then she said something, and we recorded it in my documentary that I did. We'll release that soon.
Okay.
She said, "I don't know how you're able to move the crowd. This is a very difficult crowd, but you always have a way of moving the crowd." Last 2 years or 3 years, we had a crowd following our bus when we were leaving the place.
Wow.
This year, we had a similar experience, and the band guys, we had to do some jama session outside.
My time is up now,
and it was amazing.
So you see, just I am angry with Trigo. He didn't share all this footage.
Please go on my page.
It's there.
Yes.
But congrats to him for all the work he's done beyond the show.
My mother.
Collect it. As you collect them, then no.
Make we give out fans. People not give out fans to you. Go say they promote. I see him essay everywhere. Let the PR do some more work. But congratulations to you for holding it down for us. At least every time we see you on TV, we are proud that you are one of ours.
Thank you. But we tire you guys.
That's the thing,
All right, we're done. I'm not allowing this. I'm not allowing that. Our time is up. We have to go. Just watch the aftermath of this banter back on our social personal pages. You can find it there. It's Jay and the rest of the team. Thank you so much. Tomorrow is another beautiful day. It's Thursday, and we out.